I have felt the climate changing each and every single summer. It just gets hotter and hotter. So I could actually feel it. 5 years back, it was much colder during summers, and it was much warmer during winters compared to now. So this is something that I'm actually feeling. And there were a lot of times there were natural disasters in my hometown, like floods that happened. Floods happen quite often in my hometown, and I was privileged enough to be in a place where I had access to food and water. But that was not the case for a lot of people. I am afraid of not seeing my family because of climate change. I'm afraid because our country is so, especially the state that I live in, it's next to the ocean. So it's very common, and a lot of cyclones hit um, that state. So I'm very scared. That is one of my biggest fears because I have my grandparents living there, my family lives there, and I know people who lost their families to this, right? I know my friends who have lost their families to this. I'm just privileged and lucky that I haven't. But then someday I can be the one who will lose. I'll be the one who loses who loses my family, right? So that's one of my biggest, this thing, because they are literally my life and line. I will do literally anything for my mom and my siblings. So that's my biggest fear. I cannot lose them. I used to live in a place filled with greenery, but then I moved to a city in India called Bangalore, and then I can physically see the changes that I have, right? Like when I used to live in a place filled with trees and everything, and then now I'm in a city and there's barely any trees, and the air is so much more polluted, and I get sick more often. I do not know if there's a future there for me where I actually get to work and have a family. I don't know if there's a future where my children will be happy. So I'm completely against the fact that I'm going to have children. So the whole family aspect of it, I'm so scared because I don't think there's a future ahead, with how things are going. I don't even know if there's a proper future for me awaiting there. After I finish my studies, will I even is there a future for me where I get a job and I live happily with my family? Will there be a future for my child to watch my children grow up? Like that's something that my parents or my grandparents have had was able to see, but will I be able to see it? Will there be a future like that? I was talking to my cousin sister yesterday. She asked me this question. So what is the point of studying? Should I just give up everything? Should I just stop studying? Should I stop? Like, what's the point of living? That's the question she asked me. And I had nothing to say because she's like, okay, if I'm studying so much, if I'm putting so much effort into my education and everything, what is the point if there's not going to be any future? It's so uncertain, right? I'm currently doing my second year undergraduate. I don't even know if I'll be able to graduate and see a future where I can stay without oxygen masks, so masks all the time and everything. And and then the rising sea levels, right? So there's this report that came out I think 2 years back, where by 2050 a lot of places in India will be underwater, and in that my hometown was one of them. So reading that, it was so eye opening. That's my whole childhood and my whole ancestors, they've all lived there, and then to even imagine that that place is going to be completely underwater, it it really scared me. Climate anxiety is such an issue, but no one really takes it that seriously in our at least in my peer group. Mental health itself is not mainstream in India as of now. This mental health conversations are done among the Gen Z, but people from older generations, they are still, like, a lot of parts of India have no access. They don't even know what mental health is. It needs to be talked about in schools itself so that everyone knows about it, so that they know that okay, so there's a reason why I'm feeling that way. That itself needs to be normalized before even talking about climate change. A lot of families don't talk about it. A lot of families think it's just a Western thing and all of that. They have that stereotypes about mental health. So that itself needs to be normalized. Like the whole concept of mental health needs to be normalized. Everyone has the right to discuss and talk about their mental health without being judged. That needs to be normalized in India, and then we talk about how climate change affects mental health.